you go through phases in life, and some artists are more exciting to listen to, and some are, your tastes keep evolving. Then you come back to music that you fell in love with like 10 years ago, and then you're done with it again. So it's just like cyclical and phases, but you just have to be open, I think, open to listening to different kinds of music.
Right, so hello to the good people over the internet, the noble viewers. Today we have with us the very lovely Amira Gill. To sum up what she doesn't do, you will require her, of course, but for a basic introduction, she is a vocalist, a music therapist, a creative genius, and also a songwriter, all the way out from New Delhi, India. Well, thank you so much, Amira, for joining in. Once again, as I said, it means a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I correct me if I'm wrong. I came across some data that you started everything at the age of 15. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I started professionally doing music at 15. Yeah.
At 15, I was probably
I got my first in.
beating up kids or failing exams. I don't know.
No, you know what? So it just so happens that certain things are destined, or I don't know what you call it, but I had this idea that I wanted to be a part of a very specific band of people, and the universe made it happen, actually, I believe.
Ta-da.
So the exact group of people that I wanted to work with, their vocalist, I ended up leaving the band, and then I was in music school with them, like in a not school, but like, you go for guitar classes, you go for all that. So we had part of the same school, and we used to do summer concerts together. So they had heard me sing, so it wasn't completely out of the blue. And they said, do you want to, our vocalist is left, do you want to join? And that was my class 10 board exam year. And it was going to be a really tough one, because my parents were equally keen on me doing well in my studies alongside music, although they've been extremely supportive always.
So you were an academic kid as well?
Yeah, I was super academic. I mean, I still am. I love to read. I love to, I'm also very academically inclined. But, so yeah, then I was like, this is going to be interesting. They're going to be performing like 3 to 4 nights a week. All boy band that performs in clubs and like other places. But I was really excited, because for me, it was the first time I was going to write music, write my own original music, be a part of a band, know how that works, be aware of a band setup. I used to only concentrate on voice,
Yeah.
For me, vocalists were everything. And I think that's important also at a certain stage in life, where you can dive into one aspect of music so completely that you can then have awareness about other things. But yeah, it was one of the most, I would still say, one of the most important musical experiences of my life, and the most fun. It was amazing.
Well, like, were you born into a musical family? Like, you were surrounded by music? There was albums being worshipped in the house?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, my parents love music. They're not musical at all. Nobody in my family is musical. In the sense, it doesn't do music professionally. My dad used to play trumpet in a school band when he was in Sanar in Kasoli. But no, I mean, my brother, my dad, they're all corporate guys. My mom runs a business. So nobody's into music as such. It was one of those things, genetically, probably I was more inclined to music. So I was always the kid who was like dancing and singing around. And yeah, they used to play a lot of cool stuff. I mean, I've heard Def Leppard, the Beatles, Bollywood music. Music was always a part of it. I feel like music at some level is part of every household, in different extremes. But every household music is one such thing that everybody
It's a common diet.
Has some preference. It's a common diet. That's a good one.
I live in Kolkata, so here we have the Bengali culture. So every household you go, you'll see a guitar lying in the corner of the room, or nylon string beast is lying in the corner of the room, or harmonium. Even my mom sings. So that's kind of the essence
Oh,
I was brought up
wow.
in. But Anyway, I was not good at
I
academics.
really wanted to meet like baul
Baul
singers.
singers, yeah, baul singers, yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to.
The way they
find-
sing is this, I just brains out. I mean, really beautiful singers.
Yeah, what kind of music are you interested in?
Oh, that's a good question. I listen to a lot of rock and
That's
roll.
a bad question, maybe. If you asked me, then I'm.
No, I'll ask you. Wait, I'll not spare you.
Oh, okay.
I used to listen. I really had a horrible taste in music from my childhood. I don't know because I used to listen to a lot of honestly horrible music. And one day, what happened was I was sleeping and my sister came home with Led Zeppelin. I was like,
Okay.
this is cool. The Stairway to Heaven song, everyone knows. I heard that, and I was like, I didn't like that at the first go. I'll be honest, blatantly honest. I didn't like that. And I was like, next day I tried listening it once again. I was like, what is this section called? Okay, this is called a solo. But what's a solo? What's a guitar solo? How does it function? And then I got pumped into that world of rock, and then slowly shifted to metal, then jazz, Indian classical, blues. So mixture. Not like the one. And I'm very huge fan of metal music, heavy stuff. So yeah, that's kind of a part of my diet.
Nice.
What were you into
Very
when you were
nice.
like 15-year-old?
15-year-old Amira would listen to only vocalists. So I was not a band person at all. I would listen to like a lot of Beyonce. I was crazy about Beyonce. Beyonce, Alicia Keys, Miley Cyrus of that age.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, not that much. I was not so
Totally.
into Taylor Swift. I remember one song, Love Story, was a big one. But when that got over, I'd never heard that much Taylor Swift anymore. I don't know why. I love that era of Taylor Swift though. I think for me, it was really important to be associated with like very big, powerful voices. I found that very attractive. And Taylor Swift was a beautiful, like she is an incredible songwriter, but for me, her voice itself was not a drawing point. So I was more drawn to like singers who would do crazy runs and belt and all of that. I used to listen to a lot of Regina Spektor, Sarah Bareilles, all of that. Like female voices, clearly a lot of female voices. Yeah.
And you said powerful voices. With
At
that,
that time.
something came into my mind was now we have Adele, and she's just
Oh yeah,
beautiful
Adele.
singer.
I used to listen to so much
Yeah.
Adele.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like her voice like just comes into your
Yeah.
heart, pulls it out, and you're dead.
Yeah, and she's incredible. She's an incredible woman, really. Recently, I've been very obsessed with Yeba. I think Yeba is a phenomenal singer.
So do you
She's
like
just-
push
wow.
yourself out of this music comfort zone all the time? Like, okay, I've heard this one. Let's explore another genre. Like, that's how you develop as a musician? Like, what's your perspective? How do you like have a healthy diet of music going on so that you have perspectives of all sorts?
One is being exposed to music through your friends. So what they're listening to, you listen to it and you're like, oh my God, wow, this is really cool. Who is that? So listening to Avishai Cohen, I got into listening to a lot of Middle Eastern instrumental music because of a friend of mine, Rana Joy Das, who was also part of the band, who was the drummer of the band that I joined when I was 15. So he exposed me to incredible music. That then, you have so much going on with playlists nowadays.
Yeah.
Social media is like bursting with new artists, new information all the time. So for me, it's not like I sometimes actively seek it out. Like some friends of mine, there's a brilliant bassist guitarist, his name is Munir Hossain, and he's from Brazil, but now he lives in Miami in the US. And I met him when I was living in LA. And I really felt like his musical taste and the people that he would play with, the artists that he would listen to were so interesting. And I really would wonder like how I believe that a musician, what they are, is a lot to do with what they listen to.
Yeah.
And so I found his playing so unique and his approach to music so unique. So I asked him, what do you listen to? What do you think I should listen to? I think that was the first and only time I ever got sent a list of singers. Concha Buica, Sylvia Perez Cruz. I became obsessed with Sylvia Perez Cruz. All these people. So there's a kind of openness, I think, also that's required to be able to listen to different kinds of music.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm obsessed with Tamil film music. Santosh Narayanan, Anirudh Ravichandar, even Vocal Versatility, all these people. So, yeah, I think you just say you go through phases in life, and some artists are more exciting to listen to, and some are, your tastes keep evolving. Then you come back to music that you fell in love with like 10 years ago, and then you're done with it again. So it's just like cyclical phases, but you just have to be open, I think, open to listening to different kinds of music. What are you listening to currently?
A lot of Architects. There's a band called Architects. They do metalcore music, and I was like, yeah.
Oh, nice. So do you know all these Carnival and...
Yeah. Very, very well.
Yeah.
I would also like to have them on a
Carnival.
podcast. Let's see.
That's why metal band I like. What?
I would like to have them for a podcast. Let's see. I'll mail them 10,000 times. Let's see what happens.
Oh, I don't know.
You spoke
Yeah,
about
I mean,
10
that would be
years
insane.
music experience,
also
right? Yeah, please continue.
But I want to... there's a slight lag in our conversation, sorry. There's a band called Thaikudam Bridge. Have you heard of them?
Bridge. Yeah.
What do you think about their music?
Wonderful.
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
a slight
the
lag, yeah.
compositions, the structure of a song, the lyrics, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you think of that band? Plus, they have been going through a lot of turbulence for some time.
I haven't heard that. Yeah. No, I haven't heard that much of their music. I recently started listening to it after they went through that controversy with Kantara, the film. So I was listening to their music, but because you said you love metal, and I think their music is so heavy also. Like it plays in Carnatic music and it's so metal heavy. So I was like, okay, maybe that's a band that you like, but could be a completely different taste.
Yeah. The first time I heard metal, I'm a huge fan of putting the volume level till 100. If it goes to 110, more fantastic. So I just put it up and I played it, and I was like, I had bleeding ears after 4 minutes 23 seconds.
Oh God. But be careful of your ears. Loud listening is like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
At what age you thought that, okay, let's make music as a career? Because I'm interested in this. People are appreciating, getting accolades and all of those tasty things. So did you sit down, discuss with your parents, or wrote down on a paper, this is what I want to do? How do I do this? How?
Yeah. When I was doing music in school. Then I got out of, did my 12th, and I had to decide where to go to college. And that was a big question mark, because again, I thought I wanted to do psychology or music. That was the two things. Yeah. But music was always a little bit uncertain. So it wasn't something that... and, everybody has their fears. They had their doubts that how will I survive financially with music as a career, all of that. But then I chose to do music therapy, and I really something in me was tugging at me to say, just go to Berkeley. If you get a scholarship. Of course, my dad said all those things. They said, you have to get a scholarship to Berkeley, you have to get into LSR, you have to really win on your boards. All of that stuff was a thing, for sure. But, when everything aligned, I just felt like I'm supposed to go there, and then for the greater good. And once I took that plunge, then it was pretty much decided that I was going to do music in some capacity or the other, And then life has just flowed. And things have changed in a lot of ways. Like, I didn't think I would like to be in the studio as much as I did. I was a complete live junkie before that. Like, I used to love going on stage, singing all the time. But now it's shifted. Like, I feel more at home, more excited about being in a studio. Again, it may change later, but I love being live also. Live, I love certain situations of being live, but I wouldn't just sing for anything, So yeah, it's been... I feel like you make certain decisions, small decisions, and then at some level you just catapult into the future because of those. So it's not like at 18 also, I was not so scared. I was not that nervous. I was a lot more willing to take risk. And I didn't overthink that much. you know. So I don't know. It was a mixture of just life happening and then making decisions also, both. I don't think it's ever one thing.
That's interesting. Nobody, what do you think?
When did you decide?
See, normally, as I said, I was good at nothing. The only two things I was good at, no, only one thing, sorry. Two things actually. In school, I was good in sports. I played in the national levels, and I was good in fighting. I fought with kids. Fighting was no option, of course. And sports, once I had a terrible experience, after that I left sports because I was about to get selected into a very big level, and then some politics and all that stuff happened, and I was like, "Khelna hi nahi," something of that sort. And after that, academically, I was not a good student. I was not a bad student. I was below bad. So the only option was left that by the time I also heard a lot of Led Zeppelin and all, and I was like, okay, up to a certain extent, before even touching the instrument, I had this feeling of, this is how a guitar solo should be, probably. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking wrong, but I kind of had that intuition. This is how structure should be, I guess. I didn't know all these chorus and intro and a verse. I didn't know all of these words, heavy words. I was like, ye song ka middle part hai, ye starting hai, the guitar solo, that's all. And I was like, okay. One of my very oldest friends, we have been from childhood, bought a guitar, and he was playing Happy Birthday and Twinkle Twinkle. And I was like, nah, it's not for everyone. I can't play that. It's very tough and this and that. But I don't know, sir pe bhoot sawar ho gaya tha. India is common for that. And I told my mom, buy me a guitar. On my birthday, I got a guitar. It's still there over here. And I started playing that. Beautiful. And got really interested. Okay, this is how, like if you press a note and play on the string, there's a sound. That was magical to me. I was like, wow. And slowly developed. I was like I never pushed myself to practice. It just came naturally. I said, okay, what next? Something like that, sir. So after that, kind of got into it, recorded for a lot of artists and this and that. But yeah, that's how it went. I never decided because I had nothing to decide.
Nice.
No options. If I was good at academics, I would have gone with that. But I was like, okay, I'm good at nothing. Let's be good at something. So otherwise, I would be.
You know what? Maybe that's also a decision of. That could also be a decision of the universe. Sometimes I feel like having too many options is not a great thing. I feel like it gives you option paralysis. So it's a good thing to have like one direction and stick to it.
Maybe this is the next song's title, Option Paralysis.
Option, either it's option paralysis or it's like choice paralysis or something like that it's called. But yeah, maybe.
But it's kind of interesting. It has landed me into an interesting thing, although it takes we know, you know very well, I know very well how much work it takes to hone the craft.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing, but it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you have to constantly keep growing. There's no ending.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like every day you have to sit down, something will work, something will not work, you'll fail miserably, you'll like, bajaunga nahi ek hafta, something of that sort. And then again, you're like, nah, theek hai. You console yourself and then sit the next day. Did you remember how many hours you practiced when you were into vocals? Or did you learn that professionally or just, by self?
For the longest time, I was self-taught, and that time it was not like I didn't think I was practicing. I was just obsessed with singing. So I would just come back from school. In school, I would be singing. I'd come back, I'd just change, eat, whatever, and then I just wanted to sing till the night. So I feel like I sang a lot during that time. Also, there was no distraction. There was no social media. There was nothing that was the only thing I wanted to do. So that was a very big blessing, actually. And recently, I have started understanding the areas which I need to work on. So now I do a little more like focused practice, but I definitely miss the time where I would just sing for hours and hours. I don't think I allow myself the time for that anymore. I find that I tend to tell myself there's a lot other things I have to get done. So I can only do 2 hours to singing or like in a day, which is a lot too, but sometimes you just need to just do it, So,
Yeah.
and I don't think I ever had like a timeline in mind. Not timeline, sorry, but hours. I never told myself, okay, today I have to practice for 6 hours or anything like that. It just ended up being that. I ended up singing for 6 hours, 7 hours, like that.
Exactly.
But and then now recently I've been trying to be a little more disciplined about it. I don't know if it's working for me. I'm trying to tell myself I want to wake up in the morning and just practice. But sometimes I'm not able to wake up at the time that I want to. And then I have to remind myself that I have to practice at some point in the day. So even if it's not the time that I thought, that doesn't mean I should not practice during during the day just because I couldn't practice in the morning. So
Fair.
I've been trying to realign that also, not to be so fussy, forceful. But yeah, I think it's really important to practice. I mean, whatever that means, like keep connected to your instrument and keep growing. So a lot of people say that it's not important how many hours you practice, but it's important the way that you practice, what you practice.
The quality over the quantity.
Yeah, the quality of practice. Like if you keep practicing the thing that you're good at, you will keep growing in that, of course. But you may even find yourself stuck. You may not feel like the areas which you're weak at, you're building on that either. But there's a really interesting book by Victor Wooten. I was reading today.
He's
It's
the
called
Lord of
Person.
Peace.
Huh?
He's the Lord of Peace.
Yeah. And he says in this book called The Music Lesson, it's a conversation with him and this imaginary friend that he talks about. You have to read it to understand that dynamic. But he says one thing, he said, is music a language? And then he says, yes, it is. And then they said, how do you get good at a language when you're a kid? And they say, because you do it all the time. You say it all the time and you're surrounded by it all the time. So it's like, if music is a language and you want to get good at it, then why aren't you doing it all the time? You're only going to get good at something if you invest that kind of time into it. And I really do believe, music is like a living entity almost, where the amount you give to it is the amount you're going to get back,
Yeah.
So the more you pour yourself in, the more time you spend with music, the more you honor it, the more it will give back. It's a generous thing. You have to be generous with it. It's generous with you. I felt like every time that I've been very, very sincere in my practice or in my work or whatever it is, things have opened up for me. So, and the times where I felt like a lull, which is okay, it's also okay to feel lazy, and not even lazy. Sometimes it's just not about laziness. Sometimes it's about not having that motivation from within, because you constantly have to self-motivate as a musician who doesn't work in an office or a company, or and you're working alone, you're working on your craft alone all the time. So
we are lonely
when
people.
you're motivated out, yeah, it is. It can be super lonely. I think nobody realizes that. They always imagine, oh, you're always playing with a band, or you're always performing. It's not like that. The way that you the work that you have to do on yourself is all alone. So that's can be very lonely. And but you love it, so you keep choosing to go at it, and there's some kind of satisfaction that comes from seeing yourself grow, in one aspect, and hoping. That faith is very important. You have to keep the faith that things will work out if you put in the work for it. I really answered your question in a very roundabout fashion. You didn't even ask me that. But then kahan se kahan I've gone. You asked me about how many hours.
That's what happens when you're in a very interesting flow. I love that. You said a very interesting thing about like the quality of the practice over the quantity. So once I heard, I'm still a very big fan of a guitar player called Steve Vai. And once in a masterclass.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
He said that the amount of time you give to your instrument will directly reflect on the command of your instrument. And he says that.
Absolutely.
And he's just, whatever, I don't know what wild things he does, wild things on his guitar. And it was so true. I heard that like really 4 or 5 years back when I started playing at the very first. I was like, मेरे को इसके जैसा बनना है. Kind of that idol thing. Because I love him. Like, I have probably Steve's family even doesn't know more about him than I do. I've searched Wikipedia, the entire internet, heard all of his albums, every song, every section. Even I'll tell the minute in which this solo comes. Because I love his music so much.
Wow.
But after that, it kind of broadened up and I was like, oh, not one, there are 100. And I'm like, okay, let's give up.
Oh, no way.
Okay, how are they doing this? The fingers. Then I figured, okay, this is how they do it. It's not that hard if you like concentrate on that.
It just requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of patience.
Which I
If
unfortunately
you have
don't
the
have.
patience, and it's very hard. It's hard to have patience in this day and age. It's like attention span is just too little nowadays.
Yeah. Thanks to all the reels. Thanks for the social media. That's really sad because nobody listens to a 5-minute song straight. It's like पहले 10-15 सेकंड में कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, I'll leave it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of right now it's known as attention economy. These giant platforms have these data scientists sit behind them and optimize everything and look at your behavior, and they'll just tweak in because 10 seconds of your attention is $1 million for them. And one way it's good in the term of capitalism, that's good, but from the creative perspective, it's horrible. It's death for almost all the creative individuals out there, whatever they're doing, art, music, dance, poetry, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's also death because you don't feel like you... and the second you start being taken over by the system and you don't do what you feel is authentic to you, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
When you start creating for the person, it's important to have the balance. But if you create solely to win over the algorithm, then you're setting yourself up for massive failure and disappointment. You just have to stick to what you believe in, and keep at it. I think there are certain things you have to comply by, which is like, have a good, make it appealing for the person who wants to absorb it. You have to keep upping your standards. Unfortunately, like, very honestly, even today, myself being an artist, I would not want to consume a piece of like any kind of video on Instagram which was not clear, or it was like I felt like there was no effort put into it, Whereas myself, I find it very hard to put in the effort to create a good video. So it's funny. It's a full of dichotomy.
For sure, that is, of course.
So a very interesting question from my end. What does a normal day look like in Amira's life?
Every day is very different. It depends on what I want to do in the day. I usually will wake up. I will have you want to know details.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll wake up around like 7 usually. 7. I'm trying to wake up at 6 now, but I'll wake up around 7. Then I'll...
How do you wake up in the morning? Tell me that. I can't.
There's a very wonderful invention called the alarm system.
Oh.
So that helps. Yeah.
I was unaware of that one. Because if it rings also, I was like, theek hai.
It also depends on when you sleep. No, if you sleep at like 2, then it's hard to wake up at 7, even for me.
Oh.
But if I sleep, usually I'm in bed by like 11. Usually, 10:30, 11. It depends. Again, it depends on what day it is. But typically, if I'm at home, I will wake up. I will have like a lot of water. I drink a lot of water. I love tea, so I'll have tea right after that. Tea with biscuit. Then I'll sit with my mum. I live with my parents, so I'll sit with her because I like to catch up with her. She goes to work in the day, so I catch up with her. I will read a little bit. Reading is really important for me in the morning. Usually before I sleep and in the morning. So I either a book or whatever, newspaper or whatever. Then I practice. So I practice. If that day is a good day, I'll practice. But I try to keep it like I maintain that, hopefully. And then I'll get ready for the day. I mean, I'll breakfast, I'll get ready for the day, and then I have things to do. So it'll depend. Like if I have to do a recording, do I have to write? Is it a more email heavy day? Am I feeling creative? Do I have to go to somebody's studio? I have a home set up here, so sometimes when there's no work to give, then I think, okay, how do I build either my social media, or if I want to create samples for certain things or like demos, then I'll do that. So every day differs in terms of what to do. But if I'm at home, then the morning looks pretty much the same every day, And some days I have boxing, and I exercise in the evening for sure. Like I try
You
to
box?
go for a run. Yeah, I go for boxing classes. So in the morning, sometimes I box.
Don't beat me up, huh?
What?
Don't beat me up, huh?
No, don't worry. Yeah, and then I also do music therapy, and I teach once a week at the Global Music Institute on Mondays. So then I go there. At the moment, that's been the thing. And I do music therapy also. So certain sessions I have to go to Chhatarpur. So, yeah, I mean, that's honestly like what a day would look like unless I'm traveling. If I'm traveling, it's very different. If I'm traveling for a song to Chennai or to Bombay or something, then of course I don't have this kind of a schedule. Then it's just whatever's the call time, whatever's, I flow with that.
That's pretty productive.
Not always, honestly, not always. Some days are very motivated, some days are just not motivated at all, but I try because I feel like, yeah.
What do you do on days where everything goes wrong? Like, it's not happening to you the way you thought about in the previous day?
I cry. I'm like, why God, why? Yeah, I do cry for sure. Crying is very, like, it comes very easily to me. So it's not something I have to like really go through something horrible to cry. But I don't know. I'll try to do things like go for a run. I'll talk to my mom. She's like my best friend. So I'll discuss things with her. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to discuss anything with anyone. Like I just want to absorb it and like self-reflect. Then I'll just shut myself out and I'll just talk to myself about it. But the thing that really helps, for me is knowing that everything to this point has worked out beautifully. And then the days where things are not working out, I'm just telling myself, I have to have faith. I have to have faith that things will happen. And all that is in my control is just do the thing. And also I'm honest with myself to a certain degree. I've completely told myself the days where I feel like, we also have to remind ourselves we are constantly presented with choices. So, if what you're doing currently is not serving you in the larger scheme of things for a very long time, then maybe it's time to make a difference, make change in your life, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And it's important also to remember the decision you make today is not going to be a decision that you have to stick by forever. So if tomorrow I choose that I don't want to do music anymore for whatever reason, at this point in my life I can't imagine that. But if tomorrow for some reason I say, okay, you know what, doing music is making me really unhappy. I want to be a part of a structure where I'm going to office or like I'm not feeling worried about the next month's money coming in or whatever. Then I have a choice to do that. I can go study something else. I can try my hand at something else. So we have to just let go of very self-limiting beliefs a lot of times. And this is what I tell myself all the time. And faith helps. Like, believing that that you're taking care of whatever you call it the universe, you call it God, whatever it is. Or if not believing in God helps you and you actually find solace in being like, okay, this is what it is and everything is in my control and not somebody else's, that is also great. Whatever helps you get out of the slump is a good thing, But yeah, I think the choice thing is a big one. Just remember that that at no point in life are you held down to a decision that you made even 5 years ago. And then tomorrow is a new day. You restart, It's a good feeling to sleep and then wake up to a new day.
Here's a small joke. Until and unless the next day also goes the same today, wait.
But unless the next day also
goes like the day it went today, like horrible. Then it's fine. अगर सुबह उठ के वापस हम देखें kids, it's like
but sometimes you have an entire week of that. You have an entire month of that. So it's okay. It's fine. This too
then
shall
laugh
pass.
At ourselves.
Yeah, and really, actually, that's the true thing. Not to take things so seriously. It's a very big one for me. I take things very seriously. So sometimes I'm like, bhai, kya hai? Like, it's not even important. Stop. Like, yeah. Honestly, I have to remind myself that music is not the most important thing in the world. So I have to remind myself of not taking things so seriously. It's a very good one. And I feel like you do a good job at that.
See,
perpetual jokester, I can see.
I've been horrible in academics, so I've been bombarded with critics from a very childhood. So I'm just habituated. I'm like, you're horrible. I'm like, okay, ठीक है, fine. But yeah, earlier
I'm sure you're not.
Earlier I used to like, no, I have to counter them with a question or, win an argument. But I've just left that. I was like, okay, fine. Okay, fine. What? Like, it's like you're sitting on a bus station waiting for a bus. And somebody is sitting on the side of you and you are talking to yourself like, okay, is music a good career or something like that? It's like, no, it's not a good career. Go see. You're like, kya hai bhai? Something of that sort, right? So yeah, it's kind of like a passing thing. It counts, occupies my head and it goes away. I just don't take it anymore. It's like, kya hoga like I just do my work. Yeah. But if I get a critic that, see, at the start of my podcast, I was really horrible. I was an introvert, camera shy guy. I really don't speak up, but with practice and all, it kind of came. So at that point of time, I had critics like, I was like hiding here. The audio was very horrible and this and that. But I still have the tripod over there. It's a very old tripod. I bought it like 4 years back. It's broken right now. So what I used to do was I took the tripod, made it up, attached a phone holder over that. And I imagined that, okay, so that phone holder is the camera. And I'm talking to that. Maybe a camera or a person, I'm talking to that. How would I conversate? So I would spend hours sitting over there and like, Acha, if I do this happens. If I ask a question open-ended way, it gives the viewer or the person who is speaking a bit more friendlier opportunity to speak up than to ask a close-ended question, something like that. So it kind of developed. But I always had this thing of, right now on this level 1, I want to go to level 2 the next day or 3 or 4. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's horrible, sometimes it's very horrible. Yeah, exactly. And I think this is kind of same with all the creative people.
No, that's a very healthy approach.
With that being said, how do you handle criticism yourself? I guess you have heard a lot of them because you're a creative person, you're a musician.
I don't know. I think it's the way the critique is delivered. If it's like very rude, then I find it to be not helpful and I find it to be hurtful. Yeah.
It's like very
but
rude.
if it's done in a way that's sensitive, and I feel like there's some kind of value in it. A lot of times the critique that you hear, it resonates either badly with you because you know the problem and you don't want to hear it, or then you take it well because you know the problem and then you can see that there's some value in this, and if another person also sees it, then you need to correct something or you need to change something. So yeah, it just depends on the way that it's taken. If I don't like it, I may like really cut off and not want to talk to that person or not want to even engage with that person, react badly, cry, all that stuff. But if it's well, then I'll feel motivated. So it depends. The kind of critique.
Yeah. Like if you know you suck at something and if someone is saying you suck, it's good.
If you know you suck at something and they say it in a okay way. Yeah. Sometimes I don't like hearing critique from people who don't know how to give critique. Because you know what? If that person's point is only to hurt you, then it's no point like to even pay attention to that person. Why give your energy to someone who's actually not good, who's not doing it for it. And I don't think anybody, some people do it out of goodwill, but
that's very rare, like 0.1%. Normally we have this thing that I have to prove myself right in front of that person. I don't know what they get, but they do.
Yeah.
Do they get a Grammy or Oscar for doing that? What do you think?
I think they get an Emmy last time I heard.
Amen.
There's a category for that. Yeah. Best critic award. Most honest critic award.
Aapko to, like you'll be taken with a Range Rover into the government's palace and you'll be awarded that award for your good deeds.
Really?
No, the person who is creating or the girl giving the critic. No.
I thought you were saying that I was...
You're the best critic in the country. Here you go.
Yeah, for sure.
I've heard you have a lot of albums and singles. Any more coming out 2023? Like what are we waiting as the audience?
If you're actually my audience, are you?
I love your voice, yeah.
Just kidding. But I hope to. Yeah, it's been fun to do music for other people. I'm trying to get back to doing it for myself now. It's always more difficult because you have to pour in all the money into the project. You have to get the right people to collaborate with. You have to not critique yourself so too much before you even let the product come out. But yeah, I've given myself a little bit of a deadline. It works for me. I think deadlines help me. If I let it just free flow, then I end up not doing it ever. So I'm gonna try. I haven't decided if I want to do an entire album. Do I want to do a single? Maybe I'll do a single. It's a little less daunting. Yeah, I have a few ideas floating around, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't give you a direct answer right now, but I hope to. I've told myself I have to. I have to. In 2023.
Yeah.
If you ask me a concrete date, day, what kind of music, I have no idea about all that.
Actually, no creative person has this. They'll be like, even if you tell me like, okay, at this time I'll have this, I'm like, okay, but not okay, something of that sort. Like, let's see.
No, like some people already have something in the pipeline, right? Like somebody already has a release planned for May 15th or something like that. So they'll say, yeah, next one, watch out for my next single on May 15th, blah, blah, blah. Which I would do if I knew I had a single coming on May 15th, but point is I don't. So I'm not going to say I don't. I just have, I know I want to do that, definitely want to come out with music in 2023. Hopefully soon. Hopefully I at least start the process soon. Yeah.
Right, are you in India or outside?
I'm in India. धूप नहीं दिख रही है आपको?
The last question of the podcast. From your own experience of working in the industry, collaborating with artists, give 3 tips, practical tips and advices to all the musicians and creative individuals where they do business, art, music, poetry, whatever it is, which they can work upon right off the bat.
Yeah. I would say that the things that you're good at, pour a lot of energy into that instead of always looking at the things that you need to improve on. That's one big thing. Which means that devote time to the thing that you're good at, practice. Also, a lot of times if we work in silos, we ended up becoming very disenchanted with social media, all that. Use social media as a business. Put the things out there. I know somebody who does a very interesting thing. He goes on social media 15 minutes a day. Social media money ki Instagram, I'm saying, because that's the only proper social media I use. And he deletes Instagram after 15 minutes. Every day he deletes Instagram.
Wow.
After 15 minutes of use. So if whatever works for everybody, I think, that's one. Pour your energies into improving what you're already good at. Don't always look for something that's just not good for you. Reach out to people. Don't be embarrassed. Constantly connect with people, whether it's on social media, whether it's through email. Seek out people in your own city. Seek out people that inspire you and be authentic about it when you approach them. I think do a little bit of homework. Why do you like them? It shouldn't be just plainly a famous person. It should be because nobody is going to give you a time out if they don't feel your reason for reaching out to them was authentic, and it's never going to work as a collaboration if it wasn't. 3, this is something I tell myself too, is that just start a process and give yourself a timeline for it. Because a lot of times you get so caught up in the eventuality of a project, especially if you're a creative person and you want to do something. It's very important to keep creating, and that's something I have to tell myself constantly, is that you're only, you need work. You can only meet people and talk as much as it's very important. Second point is very important, but it has to be equally, if not more, exceeded by the work that you do.
Okay.
Because that's what's going to stand out at the end of the day. So give yourself timelines. Again, there's a message to myself too, that just start instead of getting so caught up with, oh my God, who's going to play on it? How am I going to get funding for it? How is the sound going to be like? What is the marketing going to be like? What is the language I sing in? Just start. So, and give yourself a deadline. I'm going to give myself a deadline today after this conversation about what I'm going to do, the next single or whatever it's going to be, that it needs to be started at this date and ended at this date, then it's easier. Those are my 3 advices as of now.
And that's therapy in a
I have a
nutshell.
4th one, which is a choice. I also had a 4th thing, which is that Remember the choice thing. I think it's a very important thing to tell yourself that at every point in time you have a choice. Just because you chose this profession, and even if you're in it for 5 or 7 years, but it's not working for you anymore, it's okay to take a step back, either to completely evolve and change into a different work altogether. And you shouldn't be embarrassed for it. It shouldn't be that you are a loser or you're not a successful person because you didn't do that. You're actually a brave person to do that.
Perhaps.
And secondly, sometimes it's not a complete change. Sometimes you just need a pause. So allow yourself that pause also, where you're like, okay, if I didn't practice for 2 weeks, or if I didn't do any music for 2 weeks, I'm not a bad musician, or I'm not a non-musician, or whatever, creative person. So yeah, just remember you always have a choice, and don't let go of the power of making a decision for yourself.
Yeah.
That's all.
3 true points. Practical things. Stuff. Interesting. For the audience, I'm saying she definitely doesn't need an introduction. I'll leave all the links in the description. Go check her out. Stream all of her music. Wonderful. I'll not say anything. You'll just hear it. And once again, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out.
How do I say your name, Suparna?
Correct. That's the
Is
power
it right?
of
Okay.
that's the power of a vocalist. You get names right. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join, ma'am. It means a lot. It was like really lovely talking to you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really fun. It was nice. I thought it would be a very serious interview, but we had good times. We had laughter.
I've never been
So that was
serious
nice.
entirely for my entire life.
Okay. Yeah. Well, best of luck to you, Suparna. I hope you
Thank you so much.
continue to call yourself a horrible guitarist, and that you keep growing, obviously, and that life gives you a lot of good things.
And I'll come to
Looking forward to hearing your stuff too whenever it comes out.
I have a stuff. I'll send you the link. If you get the time, you can stream it.
Yeah, of course. Please send
See?
away.
She's trying to
Okay,
listen
thank
to my
you.
music.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Take care.
Yeah, stream Suparna's music. Hello, audience. Do that. You should put your links as well.
Thank you so much for joining in, ma'am. Means a lot.
Okay. You. Bye.
Bye-bye.